What is up, everybody? It is good to get back in the studio to check out the Wavefolder module from the Toybox Nano Pack V2 library. I'm just going to search for Nano and Wavefolder. And I'm looking for this one specifically, just the regular Wavefolder, which already includes infinite linear oversampling, not the additionally oversampled version, just the regular version of it. You can, of course, go for whatever version you would like to use, but this is going to suit my needs perfectly for today. So I'm going to patch this in, actually in series. So I consider this as kind of creating the ultimate sort of guitar pedal, you know what I mean? Just the ultimate sort of distortion box that has all sorts of things patched into it. You can, of course, go with whatever order you would like to in your own experimentation, but this is the order that I'm going to go ahead and go with. So we have, and I'm just kind of running these. I could, of course, make this look a little bit prettier, but I'm running these along the top row so that you can see, you know, sort of what order I have all of these things set up in. And right now, I just have it set up with the saturator into the Wavefolder, then into the plate. And so, as you can see, you know, the scope in here is showing where I am starting out with these particular sounds. The mix knob for the saturator is completely off, so we're not hearing any saturator going into the Wavefolder. We're just hearing the Wavefolder into the vintage plate, but there's no gain or anything added to the Wavefolder yet. So this is just the signal. As you can see, I'll blend between wet and dry. There's nothing happening in the Wavefolder just yet. So I'm going to start playing around now with the gain knob. And you can see this is obviously a lot different than the saturator. So this also has similar controls, and this can go absolutely crazy in terms of the options that it has. And then adding the filter will have some effect. Also playing around with the asymmetry will have some effect. And then there's also the smoothing. There's this smoothing option here, which also gives you some additional control. So we started with just a lonely sine wave. Now if we start adding in the saturator, now we have the saturator going into the Wavefolder, which gives us tons of options. Because obviously changing the nature of the content going into the Wavefolder is going to change how the Wavefolder then reacts to the content. So that's another reason why I wanted to run these in series, not in parallel. What that means from a mixing perspective is from one unit directly into the other. I could, of course, do two separate chains where you're kind of hearing both of these at the same time, not really in series. But where's the fun in that? This is like building my dream guitar pedal. You know what I mean? I'm building it for a synth instead. And you can, of course, with the help of the FabFilter Pro Q3 down here at the bottom, you can see, as well as here, what this is doing whenever I lean into these controls. These definitely do have sweet spots and wild spots, and what's cool about these gain controls is the sweet spots for these do tend to be somewhere, at least for me, you know, somewhere near about straight up the middle, which makes it nice and easy to use. And then subtle spots, of course, you know, there's a Batman signal. You know, more subtle controls are off to the left, and more wild controls are off to the right. Probably has less plate on it in real life. Yep, that's pretty cool. So the Wavefolder, you know, the controls are very simple. The ways that you can use it are obviously infinite. You know what I mean? With the amount, I mean, you can see what it's doing to this wave inside of this little scope right here, but you can also see what it's doing, you know, to the overall signal, the audio signal with this frequency analyzer. It's adding a bunch of top-end energy to this bass note down here. You know what I mean? It's, for all intents and purposes, is a bass note. So you're adding all of this content to the upper spectrum of the frequencies so that you can actually, you know, you can hear it on something that's not a sub speaker. You know what I mean? I mean, as you can see, I'm just having nothing but fun these last few moments. Not many words coming out of my mouth right now, just because I'm having fun. This is where I started. I pull the mix down on both of these. Two simple sine waves mixed together. You can't even tell that they're moving until you play some of the upper notes. It's just wiggling a little bit. Maybe sounds like a organ. You know what I mean? Like a really simple one. And then turn up the saturator, turn up the Wavefolder. Ugh. Sounds really, really cool so far. Really, really cool. And I noticed, depending on how you have this saturator set, it's obviously, it looks to be adding a ton of just sub energy that I can't even hear on these headphones. And so depending on your system, you may be able to hear that, you may not. But as you can see, my levels here are just they're just going. You know what I mean? So this is literally just the sound of the saturator. As I pull the mix down on this, it then goes away. But as I turn it back up, it's just going. So it's an interesting thing to not only see, but not hear. But that's a mixing problem that mixer will have to deal with that ultimately. Yeah, in general, the Wavefolder module sounding really awesome. Can't wait to experiment with more saturators in series and how I can make something simple sound not so simple. Until next time.